Yeah. I'm just waiting for people to jump on, Mark.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
You better be showing me.
Yeah, show you. Hi, Mark. You're a
Hello,
big
everybody.
shoulders.
No.
No, don't do it.
Don't.
Nobody's awake anyway. Oh, there's 3 people. They're probably going to tell me that I'm distorted feminine. Hello. How are we all? Who's available? I told you I'd get Mark on here in the real deal with his little wife beater on.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, Yildiz.
I know you are. How are we? How are we dealing with our aspects of ego this month? Are we flying through that? Is it good?
Horrible.
You're hanging in there. I'll try and reverse the screen. Work out how to... Hi, Jen. How do I turn it around, Mark?
No, hold on one second.
You are not going off the computer screen. Don't even make yourself pretty, mate.
I'm gonna throw a shirt on, bitch.
How are we all? Are we dealing with our ego? You are not putting a shirt on.
Hold on.
Bloody man. Look, this is what I get. I told him I'm going live, and he's got no choice, and he's like blocked me. He'll come back. He's putting something decent on. He's making himself pretty. See, that there is ego, right there. Expect? Mark, that's ego.
No, it's not.
It is ego.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Not really, because my hair's not.
You're ready.
Fucked up, but it's okay.
Well, your face should. Okay. So
what do we want to call this little series here?
Well, preferably don't move too quick because the pixels are bouncing.
Okay.
Chit chat for ego.
Ego.
I cannot see you, man.
Ego is a good thing, though. Ego is not necessarily bad. We need ego up to a certain point because ego helps us feed our children. Ego helps us get from point A to point B.
No, but we're talking about the nasty aspects of ego. What nasty bits of ego have you had today? Putting a shirt on?
Maybe. Putting a dirty fucking shirt on. I'm just kidding.
He's like, I'm not getting up on YouTube with no wife beater on. And I was like...
It was necessary.
It sells, man. I'm just telling him it sells. But he's the happy-go-lucky Mark, which is...
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm being very, very real today. Wow, ego is...
You gonna talk about your haunted house?
Woo! I'm actually where the entity is. The house is not haunted.
Mark has a haunted house, okay?
No.
Oh, look, I've had a bit of ego this week. I've had a bit of road rage. I've had a bit of... okay, what else have I had?
That is ego, okay. The bad parts of ego is when you feel the need to put yourself first before everyone else, and when you feel that whatever it is that you're going through and how you feel within that moment
is the only important factor
on everyone else's decisions in terms of getting out of your way.
Well, I'm in a bubble, so that doesn't apply to me.
That's bad ego, though. That's when ego...
Damn straight, because, and that is a realisation. It's being, okay, well, if I have no one else around me, no one can hurt me. Ego. Right there.
Yes. Up to a certain point, absolutely.
Twin stopping contact. Well, we have, again, ego. We need to release it. What can we control? What can't we? Circle the domain.
We're in fucking 3D. We need ego. That's just what it is, and that's who we are. We need it, but it's just, like I said, it depends upon the delegation of the ego.
Can you hear what he's saying? I hope you can.
And when it comes to family, our ego should be dropped. There should not be an ego, especially when it comes to kids and things of that nature, up to a certain point.
Oh, until you're clicking heads.
Exactly. Because even then, when that happens upon that instance, that's when you need to then readjust your approach and readjust how you are then going to handle that situation from that point forward.
What about when you have trigger points? And it's ET phone home, let's call Yildiz.
That's a really good point. When you have triggers, you have to then realize that more than likely that person or those people or that situation is unaware that they have triggered you. So that's your responsibility. So then you need to then say, I cannot then exemplify or be the reason as to why I then place that trigger upon everyone else, because that's unfair.
But I piss you off often.
So you needed to take care of it.
But I piss you off all the time.
Huh?
I piss you off all the time.
That's different though.
Oh.
It's different when you don't understand. You have to realize you are being placed within that position for that ego or for that what is it? The fucking trigger. There you go. So the trigger can then be presented. You're being placed within that. That's like divine placement.
Am I triggering you, Mark?
No, but that's when you are placed there because there's something that you need to see. There's something there that needs to be absorbed. And if it's negatively viewed by you, then you won't learn the lesson or see where the trigger comes from.
Sure.
You need to then approach it in a very mature way, and that's letting your fucking ego go. So
have we had any ego? Oh, there it is. There, right there. There you go. Now I can plonk both of us on the screen. Apart from the fact that I'll see all the print.
This is the first try going live. But
yeah, well, I probably could have set it up a bit better on a tripod, perhaps.
But like I said, ego's necessary. It needs to be. Ego is how we check our own selves.
Yeah.
You know, if ego, we wouldn't check ourselves. We'll just be a fucking. You know, we'll get hit. We'll get smashed and hit by the parked car. If we didn't have ego, in a sense. True story, though.
Okay, so where have I had ego this week? I've had aha moments connected to maybe my aspect of pushing people away. That I, as an empath from childhood, realised that externally my part in situations was I was codependent on helping people. I was addicted to helping people. And then I changed that again, went back to the table, and then I was not wanting to help people, and it was watching people suffer, which really irked me. And again, same thing, ego. Then it was, well, do I need to do anything? Can I let people naturally be like the scale and learn what they need to learn of their own accord at their own time? Then it swapped again to, okay, well, why is there fights all the time? Perhaps I can remove myself totally, and then there would be no problem. And then
that's actually a really good point. Yeah,
I mean, then
even ego even has to do with if we intercede into someone's decision that has to do with their own personal growth for their spirit and for their soul. We can't do that. We cannot intercede and impede upon that. The minute that we do that, that's ego, and then therefore Saturn is like, no, bitch. And Saturn's gonna be like, bah!
Yeah, and now it's, well, okay, well, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to keep doing me. If people come to me, they can come at me if they want to, and that's theirs. And now it's just that aspect of release and the death of ego, because now it's like shit's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, too, I just picked up right now, too. I mean, another thing that can be or can come from bad ego is, you know, or at least the improper delegation of it, can be when we choose to take other people's issues on, and therefore becomes a burden on us.
Yeah, I
divorced
that.
As well. If we had healthy ego, we wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
we would discern the difference between taking what's ours and what's theirs, and what do we need to take on and what do they need to take on. That's another aspect where ego would come in handy in terms of separating that line or getting rid of that blurred line. Absolutely.
Okay, what about empowerment?
Empowerment is a self thing. You must know and understand that you're worth it, and you're going to find yourself in positions or, you know, places or being placed where a lot of the times you place yourself there, but when you're placed within that time period or within that place, you then give your power away, which then is representative of why you don't do that and why you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then from that comes empowerment.
I think a lot of that has been a life process, especially of twins from the beginning stage, because when we're coming into it, the feminine aspect of people are doing that from a place where that's what they learn connected to father or mother, where they're trying to appease them, trying to gain notation. So it becomes a habit, and we purge that habit, and it does take a lifetime through that process of ascension. And with that habit, it's almost like we're having to outlearn those ways of doing things. And that's why I think the retrograde time has been to a point where it's gone, you know, everyone's been saying, well, how much purging do we need to do? When is this purging going to end? When is this cycle going to end? I think it's directly connected to the death of ego. And I don't mean that it's not there. It's the aspects of control connected to it and the self-awareness connected to your ego, where you're just going, what can I control? What can't I control? Maybe where have I been too judgmental towards myself and others? And where can I just get the hell over myself to a point where I just be?
Yeah. I mean, everything that you just said is going on astrologically as well. I mean, with the Saturn retrograde and the Pluto retrograde, like I said on my channel when I did the planetary update, that's exactly what's going on. And I mean, it's to the point where we're going to realize, where do we have power and where do we not? But in a sense of, where do we improperly apply that power and put that power on other people? That's the wrong part. And you're going to see, it's literally going to happen back to back. I've seen it in my own family, to the point where you put power over someone and you know that you are doing it in a malicious way. Then literally 2-3 days later, someone's going to do that to you.
Yeah.
And then all in all, what it's going to do is it's going to show us why we need to let go of that control aspect, because it's not right. And then therefore we are now on the receiving end of that aspect. Yeah. And we see it from that point of view, and that's going to help us develop compassion. And actually, we're actually going to fucking think before we do.
Well, a lot of times I found in my process as a divine feminine that was something that I was purging and growing and being self-aware of. But my trigger point probably come from February onwards, where the balance was out, where it was too much give, not enough take. But that was, I understand it to be an aspect of the whole thing of giving is no expectation of receiving, but there was no receiving. So that was out of balance as well. That wasn't connected to ego. That was connected to self-esteem. Not even an expectation, but more a benchmark I'd placed there personally for myself. The integrity of self was important. So by removing myself from that situation, I was able to allow situations to resolve naturally of their own accord, as well as do the self-work internally on myself, where, you know, I did divorce aspects of connections, relationships, family-related dynamics, not through a punishment, but through an aspect of self-awareness that I didn't want to be that cog in the wheel. So by removing myself, that then, it was almost like, especially in family-related dynamics, you know, to remove yourself from that dynamic enables them to understand what your placement was in the situation and what their placement was in the situation. So it helps them then become self-aware of maybe that you aren't the cog in the wheel. You're an aspect, but you're not the cog in the wheel. We all have our own cog.
Absolutely. I mean, I just got right now too, I just picked up the awakening process in itself. You know, when you go through that dark night of the soul, that's a sense of ego release as well, because you fight it the whole entire way through until finally when you release that ego and you just say, you know what, God, I'm fucking done. I give up. What the hell do you want?
Yeah.
When you start that and you release that ego, and therefore he's allowed to come in and work through you, and he's then allowed to guide you. But up until then, your ego is guiding you, and it is a sense of where we don't understand it. We don't understand the process, but that's what it is. It's back to not understanding, which is fear in itself. That's fear completely in itself, and that's scary. You know, I mean, no one likes to walk out to the unknown. We cannot control, nor do we know the confines of the unfamiliar or unfamiliarity, and that's scary as hell. Like, I mean, I was on my floor for 4 months,
crying
my damn eyes out, like not knowing what the hell was going on. But we're here now.
I've
But yeah,
also
it's crazy.
found that not only with ego, it's also been almost like the benchmark for me personally has had to be risen where it was far too low. But then there were also other aspects where I realised I had to pick my own pieces up, clean my own mess up, stare in the
Absolutely.
face of adversity and have courage, because especially being a divine feminine or to turn into a divine masculine, you can't look outside yourself for that truth. You need to come to a place where you
Absolutely.
realize, okay, what have I been using as a band-aid effect? And I mean, it can be for us. We might use vices. We might use alcohol, emotions, drugs, family members. We might use our home to hide from our adversity, our friendships,
Absolutely.
all of those things. And suddenly when they're stripped away, we realize that it's never been about another person. Our blocks are our blocks and
100%.
our roads are our road. That until we can acknowledge that fact, and that's even in twin flame connections, that you've got to let people do their own thing at the moment through this purging process, but you still have to step into your power. And I think too many times, because of the old things we've experienced, we refuse to address those areas because we're going, yeah, but that happened before, so I'm not going to do that. And it's a bit like when you're feeling sick, you have the essentials. You have your water, you eat food if you can, you rest, you recoup, and you make it to the other side. But when we have ego involved, we don't do that. But that's where we need to get to. That's why it's been so hard, is it's shaking it out of us to the point where we release that and we trust in this process.
Absolutely. And it's scary, like I said, it's scary as hell. It's scary for everyone. And it's really interesting how you said we have to take our own end of the responsibility in any kind of awakening process, any situation where we then see like it being a mirror or anything. That's the hardest part, is when we have to say, whoa, what is my shit? And
Yeah.
when you look at that, then that's when it's like, whoa, it becomes very apparent, and it becomes very like, wow, like that's me. And that's the biggest part, is taking your end of the responsibility of any situation. I mean, hey, you're put in situations sometimes where a lot of the times you put yourself there. And
Yeah.
you have to then say, I mean, like I always say, I always ask even my own clients or anyone else, it's not what happened, where did it go wrong? Because we need to speak about and figure out where it went wrong. So then therefore we can hopefully correct the issue and then move forward. Because if we could talk about what happened all day, he was a dick, she was a dick, she cheated on me, okay, that's fine. Like, I mean, it sucks, it happened, it's horrible, you were in that position. But then, like I was telling you earlier, everyone always wants to say, oh, he was an asshole, she was an asshole, oh my God. And then my question is, well, why were you there for 4 months? Like, you have to ask yourself that question and take your end of the responsibility and say, okay, why was I around? Why did I stay there? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and when it happens, you can then move forward. But until you don't, if you don't take that aspect and then you leave that relationship or that situation with that mindset, then therefore you're going to hop into the next relationship, whatever it may be, circumstance, that it's going to be very similar, because the universe and God's going to show you what that is.
Yeah.
And they're going to show you time and time and time and time again until you get the damn point.
Yep.
So you take that in the responsibility. Absolutely.
And I think at the moment, probably from February onwards, it has been really singular energy. And that was coming through in my readings, where all of a sudden I was guided to do, use music to actually communicate. So lyrics really are going to have some trigger points for
Absolutely.
our ego and or information for us as a collective. Animal totems have been coming to me quite frequently, in a sense of giving me some information. And you've got to pay attention to what you're feeling at the time, or what you're thinking at the time when you're seeing the sign, and that is your confirmation. So again, it's about being self-aware and in the moment.
Absolutely.
But just knowing that things happen and end correctly so that you can do some processing. It's not there to punish you. It's so that each individual right now emotionally can just go and do what they need to have a balanced life. It's not to say that things don't balance out and return correctly, but if that puzzle wasn't working, it might not be that it was you or them. It's that the environment as such needs addressing, and your emotions directly need addressing, because it is not you putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. You've got to have the foundation correct. And it's like the Asians with the gold bowls. All your cracks are imperfect and perfect. They're coated with gold and they're put back together again. So Go and do the work, do the purging, because even though we're thinking I mean, how many people have come to us in reading senses and said, gosh, we've felt really suicidal. These vibes, and I mean, even on the news, there's been people that have attempted suicide, and some have been successful. It's because the pain that we've been carrying has been, like I explained to a lady before, like a swimming pool. Yet because divine feminines, I mean, I can't speak from a male point of view, but we do suppress it to the point where we're just like, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, keep going. And this retrograde's made us say, well, no, that can't be so. You got to dump the crap.
You have to look at it, and you have to, like I always say too, we can only go around the issue for so long.
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to have to go through the damn fucking issue. Like if you don't go through the issue, you're just putting it off, and then you're damaging yourself. And I don't want to say other individuals, because this is about us as individuals, but you're only prolonging the inevitable in a sense. It's like Tower card reversed. You're only prolonging it. Yeah. So when you go through the issue, it hurts like a motherfucker. It sucks. But when you come out of it and, you're like the hermit, you've had that lantern, you move out of it, then you can be a better mother, a better father, a better cousin, a better uncle, and then you know your truth. And when we know our truth, it's okay if it slightly changes throughout the years. It's supposed to. That's how you know you're growing spiritually, just growing as an individual. But when you know your truth, you don't need to defend it. It doesn't need to be defended. You don't need to scream and yell and shove your point down other people's throats. You just say, okay, that's fine. That's your road, this is my road, and that's that.
And you know what's crazy? A lot of this almost feels like it's what we wished anyway.
Exactly.
Change. Yeah. We want to change. Yet, okay, we didn't. It's not like when you manifest and you require change of a situation, how you want it, if you place your energy in a way where you're co-creating that change and you're applying yourself, that's when change comes about. But if you're not, universe will force your hand. And that's where this retrograde is saying, okay, well, anything you didn't change that had needed to be changed, it's going to change without your choice. And so you didn't act upon it. Now we're showing you under a magnifying glass of what needs changing. And if that means your tower falls down or your home or your assets peel away, you're like a banana, you're being shredded to pieces, and it's going to be smoothed out like a banana smoothie. That is a fucking weird metaphor.
No, absolutely. No, yeah, that's how, and I mean, that's the job of Saturn. And,
Mark's laughing because I ate a banana in front of him and I made him feel very uncomfortable. Look at his face. He's like, Yildiz, don't.
Seriously, right? That fucking banana. But I mean, that's how Saturn works. And Saturn's on right on my IC.
Mark.
He's all up in my 4th house. He's all up in my 4th house home, and Saturn's all up in my shit. Okay, and I know he is. I have Saturn in Capricorn, for crying out loud. Okay?
Yeah, but you've been relaxed for about a week. Shit. You've been AWOL. You've been relaxed. You've been in the flow.
I've been trying to just let this shit right out, because it's just, I can't fight it. But when Saturn comes in, the best way I can describe it is, Saturn looks at you and literally says, like, all right, so does it work or not? And you're like, no. And he goes, so why the fuck is it still there? And then he'll snatch that shit from your damn hands, and you fall on the floor, your fucking teeth are all broken, and you're all kinds of just, all crying it all out. And then when Saturn then says, are you ready? And you're like, no. And then you're like, okay.
Yeah, how did you describe it? It's like a little kid on the floor having a temper tantrum and going, no, I'm not.
Exactly. It's like, I still want it, I want it. And then Saturn's like, are you done? Like, it's like the parent coming into the room and opening the door and say, are you done? No. Okay, and he closes the door. And finally, when, you finally say, okay, yeah, I'm done. Then he says, okay, let's go. He takes you a bath. He puts your clothes on for you that he put in the dryer for you, so they're nice and warm. And then he says, okay, now let's move forward. And then when you move forward, then you're a much happier and better person because you let that go. It's the crush of the ego in a sense, back to that idea. It really is. But then Saturn says, watch, it's going to be great. Just relax. But Saturn does that. He snatches that shit from you and you're like, oh my God, like you don't know what the hell's going on, but that's his job. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. I have my own damn battles with Saturn. I cussed him out like 50 million times already, but it's for the better.
So when is this supposed to be ending? What's happening in your opinion?
own opinion is, I mean, with this Pluto and Saturn retrograde right now, this power
Roll of smoke.
over power versus powerlessness and all that drama, I want to say it ends September 24th. I think Pluto goes back direct. And I think Saturn is a little bit earlier than that. I think like September 6th. But even then, I mean, they're far out planets, you know, so they take a while to even get going again, to be moving, you know, in terms of moving at normal speed. So I just want to say maybe till Halloween. I believe it takes those outer planets, especially Pluto, like it takes Pluto 2 weeks just to, you know, they call it station direct, which it's still there, but then it starts to move again back at its normal speed. I want to say maybe Saturn will be a little bit before that. I want to say maybe Saturn will be the October like 12th, somewhere around there, I want to say, but Pluto's going to be all the way to Halloween for sure.
Yeah, well, a lot of what I tuned into was from August it was changing. I felt that, and this is a strange thing, like through May, all I kept hearing was Mayday, Mayday, like there's still tower moments to come, in my opinion, from my feeling. I mean, from what I've downloaded vibrationally speaking, is there's something coming that we're directly not expecting, that we do need to keep our wits about us, because we're like, hey, we've had shit going down, so
yeah,
did we
absolutely.
learn? Oh, it's like the test.
Saturn goes,
I always say, did we learn? Marks, like you get the aha, you get the well.
Absolutely.
If you
because Saturn will do that.
Something and you're testing fate on this shit, I seriously am asking you, don't tempt fate. Don't bloody tempt fate, because you're going to call it in, and it is like, this is, okay, it's not like Napland, right? You're going to school, I've been going through the motions, and you're like, yeah, I got this shit. And then you know, you have your dummy test, then you get to Naplan, which in Australia terms is a bit like, I don't know, do you guys have that over there?
Well, what would you call it?
Test your grades at where they're at. You know, there's,
we call
it's
like
gauged by the government, you know, on a educational scale of where each state is with their schooling system. Same thing here, right? My daughter's got that tomorrow. So it's that aha moment of, okay, are we going to pass or are we going to fail? And we're like, we've got this in the bag. And then you pass, and then you go out into society and you're like, did I learn?
Seriously. Absolutely. And I mean, that alone is kind of, I don't know, I want to call it subjective, but for me, that's a little bit, everyone learns differently and everyone's going to get there when they do get there. But all in all, I mean, it just depends on how much you're willing to learn. That's a whole other damn, you know, talking about the education system and all that, because that's all damn.
I feel a lot of things are coming back for reassessment, though. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole retrograde thing.
It's almost like we've gone, no, okay, the tower's come down. That's gone by the wayside. Then we're going, oh, maybe we can go back over old ground. And the old ground can just be situations that needed changing. It doesn't have to be physical. Okay, for instance, I'll just give you an example. My daughter moving out. A few times I've gone back over old ground and really, you know, for me to take her back and from would take a long time. So I've had to reassess that. The connection where she is spiritually, she probably needs to be at her dad's more so than with mum. She's had 14 years with me. Spiritually, that's where she's at. That is the come back for reassessment stage, and it has been a few times, and it's like, hey, it's divinely guided. Where I am in my life is where I am in my life, but it's like going back over old ground, and that's just that's a small specket of what everyone will go through. There's larger things coming. So it's
and like I always say, like when we go back over it, that's when we then learn and we can see, have we grown spiritually? Have we grown just as an individual? When it comes back around, are we going to accept it in the same manner as to which we did before or when it initially happened? And then, therefore, we then can see how far we've come, if we have changed, if we have not. It just depends on everyone's path, the north and south node and all that stuff in the chart. But it just depends on, we then have a look at it and we then say, no, I'm not going to accept it like that anymore. So I'm going to move on. And then that's when you know you've grown. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, even spiritually, I find on the twin journey, for me, emotionally, how I've grown, I'm probably more self-aware, more responsible, connected to energies coming in around me. But, you know, knowing a truth, Hi, Sarah.
So important.
And getting to a place where you realise that a lot of us are shedding our old skin. We're not the same people anymore. So how we directly relate to relationships and connections is going to be completely different. I mean, I've probably gone past the years of, you know, making lunch for the loved one, and I know to many you would be looking at me going, oh, how could you not do that? I mean, that's who I am today. That is how I've spiritually grown. So I was the wife material, right? So it would be socks, jocks, shoes polished, lunches. Spiritually, that's where I was at. Spiritually, that's not where I'm at anymore. And that's not to say that I don't have an open, loving heart. It's that spiritually I've changed, and it's 50-50. So the energy I put into it, there is you know, I don't need a relationship. I would want one. I don't need it. I have my house, I have, you know, I have my self-esteem, I have my path, I have my hopes and dreams. I don't need it. It's if I want it. So it's a different frequency to the way it was before.
Absolutely. And we should always we have to remember and keep in mind that when we are interested in someone, or we find someone that we like or we're interested in, they should complement us. They don't complete us, or they don't fill in this aspect of us, because then when that happens, that leads to codependency. And then if and when that relationship then shatters, we're then left, you know, on the floor with broken teeth again. And then you're back to square one. So yeah, it's always, you know, that person should want the best from us, and we should want the best from them as well. And we always have to look at situations too, where it's like, if you feel like you're compromising yourself within the situation, you should then look at that person and say, why is that, if that person's stuck in their ways, why is that person wanting me to compromise myself? We have to look at situations like that. We can't look at it just from our point of view. We have to look at it from that point of view and say, why is that person wanting me to do this for them, even though it's going against my morals or my ethics? Like, what's going on with that? Why is that happening? Then you need to say, oh, shit, what's going on here?
Well, the morals and ethics get broken down inside a twin connection, though, because that's what the twins there to do. They're to mirror you, but they're to show you the other aspects of what's not working and what is working. So for me, any time a reconnection had occurred, it changed me over and over again, to the point where now where I'm at, I don't look outside myself for finances. I don't look outside of myself for that emotional support. It's not to say that I may not need it, and I'm not in ego to a point to humbly say, hey, Mark, I'm having a shitty day, or Jen or Luciana, you know, I'm not saying that, but it's changed who I am now, that I realise my part in it, like I was a Band-Aid, that I was enabling, and this is through my whole life, not just twin, just through my whole life in general, of where I was using my energy differently through different stages, but now I've outgrown that, and that's where the retrograde and the death of ego is coming about, where it's okay. Where have you changed to the point where you don't need something? Where maybe were you a bit too judgmental and a bit too controlling, to a point you can say, hey, that's not my domain. That's your life. That's your call. Sweet. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Because even if we're being triggered by another, and like you were saying, Mark, with the ego and moving you against your morals and ethics, that's choice. That again comes back to self. So, you know, it's giving your power away. Well, you're allowing that to happen, so take your power back. But we get triggered in twin connections because we think we're going to be punished, but that's childhood related issues.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I mean, we also have to remember, I mean, as we ascend and as we grow, things that come back and that trigger us, they're going to be harder and harder. It doesn't get easier. It's not supposed to, because then we won't learn anything. The more spiritually inclined we are, the more that we grow, it's going to be harder. And honestly, if you have to look at it from this point of view, when shit comes back at you, you have to say, and if it's really affecting you and you're really like having a hard time working through it, it's that fucking serious. Like it's that prevalent within your domain, within your disposition. So you have to look at it and say, shit, it's that damn serious. Okay, well, fuck. Let me work on it, because it's that serious. Like, even like I always say too, like to some of my clients, or just people in general, if little pieces of cardboard that are massively produced, they pop out and the right cards pop out, which they always will, it's spirit, but when they pop out and they show you what's going on, it's that fucking serious. Like, that you need to get a hold of it. Like, yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, a lot of the times it's not really, it's the energy that pops out those certain cards. That's why I pop cards out.
Yeah,
I don't
even
draw them.
I think I was talking to Kim about this, and Jen and Luciana, and with you, is that it's really ironic. Like, a lot of people are very, very skeptical about the synchronicities and the connections of the abilities of tarot. Collective energy is very unique, and I mean, I've sat on the phone with Kim and we've been channeling into this energy of a particular question, had the same deck of cards. She's a Libran, I'm a Libran. We're shuffling away. Identical cards at different intervals come out, connected to the same question. Randomly knowing one given situation's very separate, pulled the cards and they were all connected to this particular individual, connected to health, separate energy altogether. And then I can pull cards and general pull cards, same environment. You know, and I did a reading for her the other day, and she had done one on her side, and similar cards had come up. So it's a collective energy. If that's the message you're supposed to receive, it's what's going to come through.
Absolutely. And I mean, and whenever we do, you know, read and we channel the collective consciousness, I mean, remember, everyone has to remember it is collective. So therefore, that's why as readers we always say, take what resonates for you, and then leave what doesn't. You might have moved through
it already. You might have dealt with those blocks. That's why the way I do my readings, I mean, I've got new cards coming. I've got twin flame cards coming. I've got abundance cards coming, so I can go back to dealing with the finances, because everyone's going, oh my God, you know, this period of retrograde has caused, you know, for everyone, even for masculine energies, issues with abundance, because we need to do the heart chakra work and the internal work, again, which our ego blocks that aspect. So when we release that, we actually realize that from nothing can sprout something beautiful. I mean, a lady I talked to today that I was giving a reading to, I said to her, seed of an idea, you're starting with nothing. Millionaires came from nothing because they had nothing to lose. So strip that ego away, stop feeling that you're spent, and go and make something of yourself, because you've got nothing to lose.
Absolutely. And I mean, we even have to admit, even us spiritual teachers, we go through it too. I mean, how many times have I called you? Yildiz, how many times have you called me? We're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we go through it too. Like, you know, and so therefore there goes to show that we are part of the collective consciousness.
Yeah, we're human too.
Of it as well. Absolutely. And we have to remember that we can't be excluded. I mean, I don't know about other readers, but me, I flush. Whenever I read for, you know, I do my generalships, I flush all of my shit that I have going on with whatever sign it is. I flush it all. And I'm there to receive. My guides come through, and that's what it is, and that's what I get, you know. And then afterwards, I'm like, shit, did I just read myself? Crap. And sometimes I do.
Well, that's the same in my readings.
Like, oh my God, I read myself. Like,
yeah,
it happens.
But then I tend to, when people ask me, especially when I used to pre-record, oh, what happened in this or that zodiac sign? It's like, when I'm tuning, once I leave that room, that's done. It's forgotten. So I don't carry that. And that's especially with the reading. So sometimes, yes, okay, I get to know my clients and I know their faces and we have a connection, but I take it from that date of history. So each time you come back, it will be a different energy coming through. You might on times need spiritual guidance, grounding, intuitive connections. Yes, what comes through in the cards is going to be a message to you as well. But sometimes you need a lighter energy, and it can't be that heavy crap of, you know, all the negativity. You've got to really tune out of that.
Absolutely. I mean, and I've noticed that a lot of my readings have been, especially with my clients and just what I've experienced throughout, you know, the last couple months, a lot of my readings have been confirmation for them, you know, where they're on the right path. And that's okay too. Yeah. So it won't be like you're going to find out this grantastic thing. I mean, that's great if it comes through, but I mean, a lot of it has been, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Or a lot of the times when I've been reading for some of my clients, they won't say, okay, everything that I'm telling them has already happened, and then therefore they'll say, yeah, exactly happened like that. And I let them know, yeah, okay, then you're on the right path. Then it came through, and that's what it is. And that's, and we always have to, you know, all clients have to remember too, you know, when you come to a reader, you have to be completely open to hear everything that you may need to hear and everything that you may not want to hear.
That has happened to me a few times where I'll be going, I can just feel this angst in the person, and it's like, seriously, like, 1 minute, I'm just going to turn it around because we're going to have to go in a minute. Just to the point where, you know, you're almost like you're reading and I'm tuning and you've got a wall up. If you've got that wall up, you're not letting me in.
Absolutely.
I will then have to refer directly to the cards till you get out of your ego.
Yes.
Once I'm in with
Yes.
it, and that's why sometimes I'll say, ask me a question, because that's you giving me permission to tune into you. You don't let me in. It's not a game. You're paying for the reading. You come to me,
Absolutely.
be open. If you're blocking it, you're blocking your process. You're not blocking me. You're wasting your money. Open up.
Yes.
Be
100%.
receptive, be direct. I don't need a question as long as you're open when you come to the reading. It's going to flow and you'll get the relevant information you need. But it is divine timing, especially in Twin Journey. You cannot expect us to be God. It is your spiritual path in your life. You also need to take responsibility connected to what you do in your life. If you're not being proactive, nothing's going to shift. If you're not dealing with your blocks, if you're not, you know, using the tools that you have in life, a person can give you a card reading. It's going to help you, guide you emotionally. That's why I'm adding onto my channel, you know, the manifesting tools and the, hey, let's start co-creating our dreams. Let's step into our power. But if we're just sitting there and not being proactive, shit ain't going to change. And universe will force your hand. So that's what the retrograde's for, because we need to get off our asses and go and make shit happen. But I'm going to love you and leave you.
We're going to see all that shit blow up in our face.
Thank you, Mark. Love and light.
Love and light, everyone. Thank you. Oh, I'm also adding pretty soon a career reading to my website as well. I'm in the midst of kind of uploading and doing all that stuff to it. But yeah, I'm adding a career reading as well, and see how it goes when you guys book for it. It's supposed to be really, really good. I tried it out a couple people, and yeah. But all right, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. I'll be back to do the twin flame video soon. I've been getting information on it. And I will be doing a 15th, which I'll probably have to do a 15th and a 16th, or a booking for that as well on YouTube. Bye.